the boys soccer head coach, Matt Britton. Such a good friend of the show. We're so glad that we're able to get him on. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Oh, no problem, Anthony. Thank you for having me out.
I guarantee no one in the Youngstown area is having as good of a Monday as you are. I mean, you got to be ecstatic. This was a team that we talked to you before the season started, and it felt you could already feel the hunger of this team to get back to this point after what happened last year. How did you guys, first question, how did you guys kind of maintain the course throughout a really tough schedule again and keep that drive and hunger throughout the whole season to get yourselves to this point?
Well, yeah, like you said, it was a grueling schedule that we faced. But like I said, the previous interview, we like to play that tough schedule. So no matter who we face in the playoffs, we're always prepared. And we've had a motto throughout the team that's been through, preseason, it was jobs not finished. After every single game, it'd be jobs not finished. So everyone's just focused on giving everything they have for each other for that game at hand. And as soon as that's over, we're looking on to the next game.
So sometimes when you have that, that hunger to get back to where you were 2 years ago, teams can fall into the trap of looking ahead. How did you guys avoid that in these district tournaments and some of these games where you guys had to take care of business before you even got to this regional final?
Yeah, there is the prototypical trap game that everyone falls into. But that goes back to just the focus that we've put in. It's the detail that we go through practice, everything. We focus. We don't even talk about the next game's coming up. It's always the opponent that we have at hand. So that kind of limits us from hopefully tripping up on an opponent because we just focus on what we have in front of us.
All right, let's talk about this game against Beachwood on Saturday because talk about hunger. Beachwood was hungry too. They hadn't been to that spot in a while. They wanted to kind of get back to that spot. Program on the rise in Beachwood. And you look at this game, especially the first half, very defensive to the count that we got, only 5 shots on goal the whole first half. You guys kind of felt each other out and then scored like this, boom, boom, twice in 2 minutes in the second half. What were some adjustments you made against this Beachwood defense that was really pressing really well, especially in the first half?
Well, Beachwood, they were a phenomenal team. They were well deserving of being in the regional final. They showcased their qualities during the game. But it's funny you said they haven't been there in a while. The last time they were there, they defeated my previous school, Maplewood. They beat us to get to the regional final back in 2015. So it was kind of I wanted a little bit of revenge there for that game. So that was a little extra motivation on my part. Never told the boys about that part. I kept that to myself. But the first half. First off, the weather was absolutely dreadful. The wind, I think some people were saying it was like 30, 45 mile per hour wind gusts. The wind was absolutely brutal to play against. So one of the things we did tactically in the first half is when we won the coin toss, we wanted to go against the wind in the first half. So we wanted to give Beachwood the win. So if, worst case scenario, we had to chase the game, we weren't playing against the wind going into the second half. So we were able to see through the first half because that wind was brutal. You could have, I was even talking to the Ottawa Hills coach, we're going to play here, and they experienced the same conditions. So once we got into the second half, when we had the wind at our backs, we were able to settle down. We were able to link play up a little bit. And like you said, we were just able to settle everything down. And, we sliced right through them. I think it was 2 goals, 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And then your defense in the second half, obviously the wind has something to do with it. But I don't think, once again, our reporters kind of said, they never really got past the half field mark. They could not get into their offensive attack at all. Props to your defense for that, but how much of a focus do you guys put on that defense? I think a lot of people talk about your goal scorers, rightfully so. How much focus do you guys really do put on stopping teams from being able to do what they want to do as well?
Oh, that's a huge factor in what we do. Because, if you look at it, we've only conceded 14 goals this season. 5 of them came against Western Reserve Academy in a game, which, most of our starters sat out. We agreed to play that as a second team game. So really that's 9 goals over 21 games. That's pretty incredible in itself. And I think we've kept 15 clean sheets. So again, the defensive, input by the boys is absolutely incredible, the work rate. But a lot of that comes from, we talk about it practice. A lot of that comes through our midfield, our midfield 3. If our midfield 3 wins the battle and we're able to control the tempo, we're able to set the pace. That just alleviates a whole bunch of it because that just leaves Tony, Dante, Will, Gabe. They just clean everything up after that.
As I've been learning more and more about soccer over the last year that I've been running this show, we've talked to a couple of midfielders from other teams, and you start to get that they're kind of the position that doesn't get a lot of the limelight. They don't get the stats per se. They just do the dirty work. Like you said, they move the ball to their scores on offense, and then they do a really good job on defense. Talk about your middle fielders and how they kind of embrace that mentality of doing the dirty work that doesn't maybe get noticed by the stat keepers.
Well, yes, the midfield it's a very, especially the system that we play, it's I don't want to say unrewarding, but, they don't get the limelight that they should. I mean, that starts with our senior captain, Patrick D'Ambrosio, who plays as our center holding mid. I mean, and he's just a rock in there. He cleans up everything. He breaks up opponents' attacks. He's the one we actually play the ball through to be able to switch it from side to side. And his ability to just control the middle field allows the two other midfielders, Dominic Graziano and Alex LaPlante, to push forward to join the attack. And then once they get in there, I mean, their link-up play is incredible. Both of them are exceptionally skilled players, and just just their ability to link up with the front three, has made us the threat that we are going forward.
Let's talk about this next matchup coming up on Wednesday at 7 o'clock against Ottawa Hills in Sandusky. They played there before. That was actually the site of their regional semifinal, I believe, against United. So there's kind of, don't want to say a home field advantage, but definitely a little bit of familiarity with that facility. What have you seen from Ottawa Hills? What do they bring to the table? What makes them so good, obviously, to get into the state semifinals? And what challenges are they gonna put on you guys?
Oh, we are quite familiar with Ottawa Hills. We played them already this season. We defeated them 2-0. We played them in the state semifinals in 2020. We beat them 1-0. I mean, it's just an incredible program. Coach Brian over there has done a great job keeping them consistent throughout, and they're exceptionally talented. They've got quite a few players who are very dangerous. They've got a center forward, Alex Duran, who just scores goals at will. They've got a center mid and Adam Ayad, who can feed the ball to them. I mean, we just got to limit their skill players, and that's what we did the first time we played them. So I've been watching film, seeing if they've changed much of how we played since our first encounter. It looks similar, so we'll see if we're able to take advantage of the issues that we found in their defense the first game.
Very interesting when you play a team that you've already played in the regular season. Obviously, both teams have changed a bit since that point. You've had a lot of growth. They've had a lot of growth. How much do you balance trying to learn from that film and also trying to realize that both teams are different now than they were back then, and not trying to do everything that film kind of teaches you?
Oh, yeah. We're both completely different teams since then. I think our first encounter was back in the middle of September. It's almost, a month and a half since we've played. We've played 17 games since then. I think they've played 16. So we've basically played a whole season since the last time we've played each other. We just like to look and see the characteristics. A lot of the characteristics, like the fundamental buildup of their team play, will not change. Because I know technically ours really hasn't either. We play the same way, but we make minor adjustments here or there. But the fundamentals of how we play, is still prevalent from our first game there, and theirs will be this as well.
One thing I want to talk about your players is their work in the school, because, man, you look at these grades, and I think, you have seven players that are in the top 10 for academics in their class. I mean, just an incredible hardworking team inside the school system. What does that do for you as a coach? I mean, you almost don't have to worry about making sure they're in class and doing their work in the school.
No, I mean, I'm incredibly blessed with, intelligent players. I think, we've all 9 of my seniors this year qualified for the Senior Academic All-American Award. Our team GPA was a 4.07, which is just absolutely incredible. I mean, we have two seniors that are battling the valedictorian, 2 juniors who will be valedictorians. I mean, so I maybe even thought we might have the valedictorian on the soccer team for the next 3 years. So just their mental capacity is just phenomenal. So it makes implementing new systems so much easier because I know that they're smart enough to understand concepts.
Yeah, that was my next question. How much do you see kind of the book IQ and the school IQ translate into soccer IQ on this team?
Oh, it does. I mean, it takes them a minute because then you have to correlate the muscle response to it.
Right.
But once they're able to process it a lot quicker, so it makes it much easier to implement new systems, new tactics. So I mean, where some schools might have to go over for 3 days, we only have to do it for an hour in a practice, and it's basically like we've run it the whole season.
And this is a question that really just popped in my mind, because when coaches from colleges that are known for academics, question, sometimes they say their athletes can be a little bit paralyzed by analysis because they're so smart. They kind of overthink things and things like that. You ever run into anything like that where they're overthinking stuff and you have to kind of tell them just to go react to stuff, or is it always is that not an issue with this team?
No, that's an issue. I think any coach will realize that's an issue when we overthink things. You can look at some of our early season playoff games. You know, I think it took us 20 minutes before we scored against Conneaut. It took us, 15 minutes before we scored against Maplewood because, we were just trying to overthink how to play instead of just going out and, doing what we do best. And even the last few games you look at, it took us 10, 15 minutes before we got it going against Whitcliffe and about 20 minutes before we got it going against Beachwood because we just overthought everything. The moment we settled down and started to control and play how we normally play, we just get going from there.
All right, Coach. Weather looks a little bit better on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't have to deal with those 30-mile-an-hour winds.
I hope not.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about this run. We wish you the best of luck on Wednesday. Maybe we can get you on again if you win to talk about a state championship.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to be back. Hopefully that's the case. I'll look to book it for Thursday or Friday.
Let's just book it ahead of time and just say you're coming on. And then we'll just do that. And hopefully you guys win. We wish you the best of luck. We look forward to seeing how much you guys can succeed there. And we'll look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, wait. Coach Niddle wanted me to give you a shout out because he says he knows you pretty well. So Gary Niddle wanted me to make sure that he knows that he's rooting for you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Old teacher from high school.
All right. Coach, thank you so much again.
All right. Thank you.